This episode of Southeast Iowa Today is brought to you by Griner Auto Body of Washington, Iowa, using state-of-the-art techniques and decades of experience to get your car back on the road after an accident. Car Doctor of Washington, Iowa. No matter who Frankensteined it, they can fix it, clean it, and customize it. McDonald Boatyard of Keota, Iowa, for all your farm equipment and auto recycling needs. For great food, it's your choice family restaurant of Wayland, Iowa. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Try the John Bain sandwich on your next visit. Girling Repair of Winfield, Iowa. If your mower is dead, call Fred, your Husqvarna, Aaron's, and Gravely dealer. Fred also fixes and sells snowblowers. B&B Propane and the family of jet stops. CW Tree Trimming, LLC. We're into your trees, not your wallet. Serving all of Henry County and the surrounding area, and we offer a senior citizen and veteran discount.
Iowa Technology Systems of Mount Pleasant, Iowa. Your one-stop computer tech shop. If you, someone you know, or are a business that is having trouble needing laptop, PC, or business technology help, call us today. Visit iowatechsys.com.
Save the date! It's the Junkin Sisters Shop Hop Christmas Edition, December 5th and 6th, 2025. Shop vintage finds, handmade treasures, and festive holiday decor and eats at participating shops. Check out the Junkin Sisters Shop Hop Facebook page for more details.
Dutch Market and Coffee Talk of Washington, Iowa. Dutch Market can handle all of your grocery needs. They even have a conference room that you can use for free. Coffee Talk's drive-thru is open and ready to serve you coffee, energy drinks, sandwiches, baked goods, and ice cream. They all present the award-winning Southeast Iowa Today. Here's the author of Christie's Journey, The Beat Goes On, and your host, John Bain.
Thank you, announcer Cody Roy of NewEnglandDukes.com for your golden pipes and wonderful introduction. I'm out front of Grace Community Church in Washington, Iowa. I'm going inside to visit with Pastor Darren Brown to discuss the upcoming 4th annual fundraiser dinner and auction on Friday, November 14th at 6 p.m., benefiting the Lighthouse Center and the Storehouse Food Pantry. Pastor Darren Brown, thank you for your time today. And you've got a wonderful church here, Grace Community Church in Washington,
Well, thank you.
Iowa. You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Friday, November 14th, 2025, just around the corner here really for us.
Yeah, just a couple weeks.
You are going to have a dinner and 2 auctions, a silent and a live auction. Can you tell the viewers of Southeast Iowa Today what that is all about? And
Yeah, it's Tribulation and Trust Ministries. Tribulation and Trust Ministries is an umbrella ministry that oversees the Lighthouse Center, which is our emergency housing shelter here in Washington County. And it also oversees the Storehouse Food Pantry, which helps people in need with food insecurity. And it oversees the Master's Hand Thrift Store. The Master's Hand Thrift Store is what supplies the income to operate the 2 ministries alongside of donations. We do one fundraiser a year, and that's this one here. And it's a dinner, and then it has also, and the dinner is not charged. We're not this year. We've sold tickets in the past. This year, we're not selling tickets. We're just opening it up, hoping that people will just come and be a part of the auctions.
wow.
And so it's a free will offering dinner. It's got some chicken and some pork there and some other side entries. JYD's is catering it for us. They're Junkyard Dogs, and they're doing a great job. They're not charging us any money for that. They're donating their time and their energy on that. And then we're having an auction, and we're having a silent auction. Will be some baskets and different things that the community or people around Southeast Iowa are donating toward that. And then we'll also have a 5-Star Auction Company is going to be there, and they're going to host the regular auction. And we'll have an auction. There'll be an evening of fun. We have an Employee of the Year. We have a Volunteer of the Year. And then we talk a little bit about what Tribulation and Trust Ministries has accomplished for the year, how many thousands of dollars of food we've given out, how many people have been at the shelter, lives that have been affected and changed, all for the gospel of Jesus Christ and the kingdom of God.
Amen to that. And, with what's going on with the federal government right now and the basically not working, and different programs are coming to a halt right now, like the SNAP program.
Yeah.
This is just underscores your work.
It does sometimes, but I've got to say that the state of Iowa has kind of come in now, and they've offered a dollar for dollar match for the first $1 million of cash that's donated right now to food pantries. They're going to match it, and so I really appreciate the fact that they have stepped in for that. A lot of the food that we get does come from government funding, but they've been really, really hard to make sure that the junk that's going on in Washington, D.C. doesn't interfere with what we're doing here in the state of Iowa. They've worked really hard at that.
Well, that is very good. That's very good to know. And someone in the trenches that works and helps every day, I mean, you would know.
Yeah, and that's something that we kind of try to stay on top of, because we do get a lot of stuff from government organizations and government stuff. And so we got to kind of be in touch with that and know what's going on in those circles so that we can work effectively and efficiently.
Okay. Not to steal any of your thunder for Friday night, November 14th, but can you kind of give us some numbers of how many people you help?
Yeah, so I can just tell you for like 1 month, typically we would have, well, for 1 week, we would have between 40 and 70 families come to the food pantry in 1 week. Those families will take home anywhere between $50 and $300 worth of food, depending on the size of the family, what their need is, what they want, so on and so forth. So when you do the math on that over a month, we can give out easily $60,000 to $70,000 a month in food to families in need. Wow. And so that's just that side of it. Then in the shelter, we have anywhere between 10 and 20 people in that shelter. Sometimes it's a single dad with kids, a single mom with kids, or it might be a family that's displaced, or it might just be single adults. Just depends. There have been a couple times where we had 16, 17-year-olds that were displaced, and they would come there and stay. And it just works through that, trying to figure out how to help people that are in that. We focus on Washington County and the surrounding area. Because if you build it, they'll come, and they'll come from all over. Yeah. And we just want to focus right here on Washington County and the surrounding area.
I was going to ask, Washington, the city of Washington has about 5,000 some population.
Yeah, it's closer to 10.
Is it?
Yeah, and then when you start counting the outlying communities, the small communities, it becomes a hub of business for probably 20,000 people by the time it's all said and done, because of all the little communities that come here to do business.
So really, I mean, you're helping a lot of people. And when you say $70,000 a month in groceries, I mean, you definitely need financial support and contributions.
Yes, and we do. And so there are different churches and organizations that will do food drives. We love to have them do food drives for us. There are some people that donate cash, and we like that because we can get more for the dollar than they can when we buy in bulk, and when we buy through the organizations that are set up out there, then we can get more for the dollar than a lot of people can at Walmart. And so it works really well if people are comfortable just donating money.
Now, and that makes perfect sense. How do some people that might be skeptical on something like that, how do they know that's how the money's spent and that sort of thing? I mean, somebody, sometimes you get people, well, I'm going to give them a can of beans.
Right.
And if they would have given you, $5 or $10, you would have got 30 cans of beans.
Right. Right. And so what integrity of, it's always good to have integrity in a 501(c) operation. Mm-hmm. And so we register with the government, and then there's things that we have to follow through. But our books are open. If a person wants to come and audit my books and so on and so forth, that's open to the public. That's something that we can provide if people want to see where the money is going, what it's doing. That's why we encourage people to come to the fundraiser dinner and the auction, because then you can see the impact of what's going on. And if you ever want to have a tour of our ministry and you want to come see and you want to walk through, you want to go to the homeless shelter, you want to meet people that are beneficiaries of what we do, we can work things like that in as well.
Well, can't get more open than that. And really the invitation to go to the dinner and the auction, mm-hmm. I mean, really, hopefully people will not pass that up, because it's going to be great food. They don't have to spend a penny on that food to enjoy it, but they can turn around and spend dollars on really neat auction items, and both on the silent side and on the live auction. Is there anything that you can share that is going to be up for auction that you might personally know about?
Oh, there's a few little things here and there. I mean, there's some old antique toys, and then there's quilts, and there's there's a scooter or a little mini bike, motorcycle, and there's just a myriad of a bunch of items. And then there's certificates and pizzas and different movie tickets and baskets that people make up, and there'll be just a different variety of stuff.
That sounds like there's something for everybody.
Yes.
And, we're coming up on Thanksgiving toward the end of this month. And what better way to honor the holiday of being thankful and grateful than helping others? And, that might not be as fortunate right now as people that might be watching or listening to this podcast to just come to this event.
Right.
Spend a few dollars. And, if it's really something you don't need or want, but you end up with a high bid, you can always donate it back and let somebody else bid on it.
There you go. That's right.
There's all kinds of ways to give.
Yeah. And there'll be baked goods there, and there'll be canned preservatives and just different things, whatever people feel like that they can donate. That's the beauty of the church, is we all have gifts, we have different things, and we all add to. And so if everybody comes in a group setting like that, and everybody's in a giving mood, everybody will leave with something. Everybody will receive something.
Yeah.
That's just the way God works it. If you give, you shall receive.
And a lot of times you receive it in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best
the
place.
Satisfaction.
That's the best place to receive it.
You believe it.
Now on the I want to make sure I call the name right. On Iowa Street, your location.
South Iowa Street, the Lighthouse Center.
The Lighthouse Center.
Yes.
If my memory serves me correct, I think you folks got involved and started making things happen there, about 4 years ago?
Yeah, almost 5. This will be our 4th annual supper, but we started 5 years ago before we decided to start doing this annual fundraiser. And fundraisers for me are something that they're not much fun, they're really, but because I don't like asking for money.
Right.
It's needed. And I kind of was out traveling all over in different places, and I got a part of some ministries out east, and they have these big banquets, and they do these big fundraiser dinners, and these people come to these big banquets, and they hear about the ministry. Sometimes there's a little bit of entertainment, and they all just write checks and so on and so forth. And that was the way they do it. And they just do it one time a year. And I thought that's what I would like to do. So when we started the Lighthouse Center, and we saw a need in Washington, Iowa, that there was homeless people, and we had to figure out how to do something with it, we went ahead and got started. But it didn't take us long to realize that it takes about $10,000 a month to run this shelter, and we need to be able to have income to come in and do that. And so we got to figure out what we're going to do. And so the first thing that we decided to do was to have the Master's Hand thrift store. And that tremendously started helping us. And then we thought, well, we better have one fundraiser a year, and I want to make it a fundraiser where people are looking forward to it, and they're just like, that one day a year, let's go to it. It's one time, and it's just that. And if other people want to give throughout the year, they can, but you're not going to receive any mail from me saying, hey, give to us, give to us, give to us. I'm just not that type of a person.
Well, and I know you're very busy. I know when I set up this interview with you, your message on your phone kind of made me chuckle, because I'm like, he's being really nice, but he's also telling you, I'm very busy, and I'm going to get to you. I haven't forgot you, and when the Lord calls for me to call you back, I will call you. And I said to him, I said, I know you're busy. I left a message, told him told you who I was, and then I said, if the Lord's wanting us to get together, I'm sure I'm going to hear back from you, and
That's
I
right.
did, and
yes,
and here we are.
Yeah.
And so one of the things, I usually ask this at the beginning of an interview, but I didn't, because I wanted to get right in on the dinner and the auction with auctions. Are you originally from this area?
No, not originally. So originally I grew up out west in the mountains of Idaho.
Okay.
That was home to me. And but I got sideways into drugs and alcohol, and just being crazy and dumb. And it was in and out of jail, in and out of prison. I ended up in Iowa. I have a niece and some nephews that live down in Missouri. And when my brother was killed in a car accident, I kind of went to see them to see if I could help them. But I was so messed up myself, I really wasn't any help to them. I ended up in Iowa, and I ended up stealing a car out of Des Moines, and had a possession of a firearm, and I ended up getting a prison sentence here in Iowa.
Wow.
And that was back in 1999, 2000. And I ended up getting sent. I ended up going to county jail in Des Moines. And when I was there, God got a hold of me and made a decision for me, which is a story that could take 45 minutes to an hour to tell, but it's a really good story. But in that, God got a hold of me in that county jail, and I gave my heart to him. And that was 25 years ago. I ended up going ahead and doing 2 more years of prison time after that through that case. But I did that 2 years. I basically signed up for every free Bible study course I could get my hands on, eat the meat, shuck the bones, start learning about this Jesus. And 25 years later, here I am, still living for Jesus and trying to do my best for the kingdom of God.
I say that Jesus guy is a pretty awesome guy.
He is, and I'm telling you, he can wreck your world. And he can take you and tear you down and build you back up and turn you around, and it's nothing. It's just amazing. It's good stuff.
Well, I imagine in your daily life now, in being a pastor and talking to people from all walks of life, and talking to people that kind of are on a path that you used to be on, you can cut through the BS pretty quick.
Yes, I can. And that's part of what we deal with. And I think that's part of why God created me for this. It says in 2 Corinthians, we go through the things we go through so that we can comfort others with the same comfort we were comforted with. And until we're comforted, we can't really offer that comfort to nobody else. But when Christ came into me 25 years ago and he comforted me and healed me at the age of 31, now I have a comfort and a healing that I can share to those that haven't received that yet, and say, listen, if you'll turn to him and give your life to Christ, he can change you. He can bring healing and peace to you. And
that is really what the meaning is of you can't help others until you help yourself.
Right. That's a big part of that. You know, you can't go nowhere. You can't take people where you haven't gone. Right. When you think about, I always use this with the old wagon trains when they would start in St. Joe, Missouri, and they would take them west. Right. Mm-hmm. You weren't going to take somebody to lead your wagon train that hadn't been that route before. If either I'll get you there, and you go, have you ever been there? No, I've never been there, but I can get you there. You weren't going to hire that man.
No, that's for sure. That's for sure. That is for sure. So you've been at this being a pastor for a long time now.
I've been about 5 years. So it was right after I was a youth pastor years ago, and then I started traveling all over the nation, sharing my testimony at homeless shelters and trying to share Christ with people. And then I end up coming back here again, and then it would have been in that first year after we opened the homeless shelter. It was that first year the pastor here at this church left, and I was an elder, and we're designed as a church to hire from within. And all the other elders came to me and said, you're the one that's got the giftings there, and you're going to be the pastor. And I was a little nervous about that, because when you're an evangelist and you're traveling all over, all you're doing is telling your story. And that's your story. God gave that to you. It's your story, and his scripture, the lessons that he teaches you in it. And that's your story. You tell it, and you tell it multiple times. Well, that becomes easy. You can't mess that up. Now, when you're a pastor, you're involved in discipling people, and you're involved in their care, and there's more responsibility to that. And I wasn't so sure that I was cut out for that. And I wasn't sure how the messages were going to come every week, if that was going to work for me. And so I told the guys, I said, well, we'll do it for 6 months, and we'll see what happens. And that was going on 4 years, almost 5 years ago. And the messages keep coming every Sunday morning, so I just keep preaching them.
And God tends to make us uncomfortable sometimes when we're supposed to be doing something.
Yes, that's for sure. You got to grow. I mean, stress makes you grow, I think, and that just anything. He says that we're going to have the stress. We're promised the tribulation in all of our life. That's how we come up with Tribulation and Trust Ministries. He said, I tell you these things so that you'll have hope. In the world you'll have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. In other words, you're guaranteed tribulation in this world. But Jesus overcame the world, and so we have our victory in him. So as we're going through the tribulation, don't get too bent out of shape about it. Just deal with it, because he's in control. We got to trust in him. So in our tribulation, we trust in him, and he'll get us to where we go.
There you go. Without revealing people's identities to keep people anonymous, do you have a favorite story or of an experience that you've had that's really said, Lord, thank you, this is what I'm supposed to do?
Yeah, I do. I have a young gentleman. He's an amazing guy, and he came out of Southeast Iowa. He was an addict, and he was basically, they found him one morning on the street, and he was curled up in a ball, and he was just gone, and he wasn't doing very well. And he was at that time, he was about 22 years old. And he came, and we started working with him, and he was on a Social Security check. He got a Social Security check. He got his little handout from high school. He moved from high school. They said he would need special needs and that he needed a check, and so he would get a check every month. So he didn't have to work. He didn't have to do any of that, and he was a mess. And then being an addict. His dad and his brother were addicts. His mom died, and he's now being raised by two addicts, and so on and so forth. What happens with addiction is when you are an addict like that at a young age, your brain stops developing and you stay typically at that age. So here he was, he'd started using around the age of 12. So here he was at 22, operating like a 12-year-old and really needing help. And he came to the shelter, and but he was really willing to work and do things and get cleaned up and take on his chores, and he started listening. But it was like dealing with a 12-year-old, and I had a son about that age at the time, and so it was kind of easy for me because I already had a son about his age, even though his body was bigger. Sure. And just kind of kept working with him and helping him. And then he decided to go back home at one point in that for a weekend just to visit, and he ended up relapsing and in jail again. And so he got out of jail, and he came back to me again, and I said, listen, this is the deal for you. As much as I hate to say it, that's not a healthy place for you. You're just not probably going to best to go back to that. Mm-hmm. And so he got back on board, and now today he lives in his own place, and he's still getting his monthly check, but he got a job at a fast food chain, and he's now working into leadership. He's training other people. He's maturing now. So now he's probably at the age of 18, 17, or 18. But he's maturing now, and he's moving along, and he's progressing, and he's got his learner's permit now. All we got to do is get him the rest of the way to get his driver's license. There's a lot of things that's happening with him. So now at 26 years old, 27 years old, he's doing great. And I expect someday he'll never be on Social Security anymore. He won't have to have that check, that he'll be able to move forward and do it completely the way it needs to be done. And it's just a matter of a process of time. And it's all based on Christ and Christ alone.
That is awesome. And for the folks listening or watching this is why it's so important to go to the auction, mm-hmm. and go to the dinner. And if you can't go to the auction or dinner, where can they send a check to?
You can send it to 980 West 5th Street, Washington, Iowa, 52353. And that's the Tribulation and Trust Ministries, or TNT Ministries is what we call it sometimes. It's easier to remember that. TNT, Dynamite for the Kingdom of God.
There you go.
And
say that address one more time for the folks that are listening, so they make sure they have their pencils ready. I've got it up on the screen right now for the folks that are watching, but say it one more time.
Okay, 980 West 5th Street, Washington, Iowa, 52353.
Very good, sir. If there was one thing I should have asked you, either about the upcoming dinner and auction or about the ministry, anything, what would it be?
I don't know. You did a pretty good job.
Well, thank you.
We got most of it in there. Why do I do what I do, I guess, is more than anything. And we kind of got the idea of that because of my history and my past.
But share more.
But why do I do what I do? It's kind of like there's a famous story out there, and it's called the starfish story. And it's about a little boy or a little girl that's walking along the beach, and all these starfish are spread out on the beach, and the child's chucking them back into the water and chucking them back into the water. And this little old man comes up to the child and says, "What are you doing? There's no way that you're going to be able to throw all of them back." And she reaches down and she picks up one more and she throws it in the water, and she turns and looks at him and she says, "Tell that one I didn't make a difference." And that's really where it's at in that sense. I learned a long time ago in my life that I needed to be a giver. There was a psych doctor that told me, "Darren, you need to quit taking and you need to start giving." And I said, "What do I have to give?" And she said, "You'd be surprised what you have to give." And so in that, I started learning that the one thing that I had to give was my time and my experiences. I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of things, but I could get in and start working with people and walking with people and telling them, teaching them. And then that started everything just by giving a little bit. Now today, I can give a whole lot more.
That is wonderful. Darren Brown, Pastor Darren Brown, I'd love to have you come back on the podcast again. Can we kind of just say kind of market. I know in your busy schedule, but here in the next few weeks, as we get closer to Christmas, I'd like to have you back on.
That'd be great. I'd love to share whatever we could share. That'd be fun.
All right. Well, we are at 22 minutes and what I'm going to call 22 minutes and 35 seconds of podcast excellence. Thank you, sir, and good luck to you.
All right. Thank you, and God bless you all.
That was Pastor Darren Brown, and I trust that the upcoming dinner and auction will be a huge success and will contribute to the continued growth of the ministry. Thank you for watching. Thanks to my sponsors, Griner Auto Body, Car Doctor, McDonald Boneyard, Your Choice Family Restaurant, Girling Repair, B&B Propane, and the family of Jet Stops, CW Tree Trimming LLC, Iowa Technology Systems, Junkin Sisters Holiday Shop Hop, December 5th and 6th, Dutch Market, and Coffee Talk. I'm your host, John Bain. Stay friendly, Southeast Iowa.